Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the North American Challenger League Season 1 playoffs. We're here in the semifinals for our second semifinal match of the night. It's CompLexity, your team in the blue, taking on their opponents. It's Team Curse. Subbing in here, of course, is Lolpro. And, of course, Jackie, kind of the backbone of the team for so long, being replaced here by Gamer. It's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. We'll have to see what he brings with the Ziggs mid lane versus Jinte, the new mid lane there for CompLexity, playing his Orianna.
Now both teams going relatively defensive. We do see some grouping coming out bot lane for Lolpro, trying to poke around, see if somebody does stick their head out. But both teams realizing that, you know what, the CC is not great for either side. Let's go ahead and be safe instead of going for any sort of aggressive invade.
Now we have on excellent authority that Gamer XD has actually subbed in for a lot of people, and our former caster Dan Egad Caruso has personally given his stamp of approval to this guy. So if he, we'll see how his word works out. But as we get back into the game, it's nice to see more defensive starts. And while we have seen first bloods very early on in the game, witness just the last series that we saw, it's nice to see some of the changes that Riot put in place for Season 4 really working out, lowering a lot of the gold and the death timers for early level 1 fights, making them a little bit less impactful, means both teams are playing a little bit more defensive.
Now, what we do see a lot more often is late invades where teams will approach blue buff or red buff after it's already spawned. And this is something different because you know the enemy team will be in the area most likely, and it gives you a really good pressure point. You can see that LOH and LOD were in the tri-bush looking for a late invade from CompLexity. Did not happen though, and both teams will safely do their own jungle. A very nice defensive start from either side, as Hanser just kind of camping on the top brush, looking to see if someone joins him, as no one to really help.
Now, there's a lot that goes into choosing the buff that you do first. Usually, junglers will start at the bottom half of the map and then make their way top lane, just because top is a really kind of snowbally lane. It's kind of an island, so if you get ahead, you're kind of going to stay that way unless there's additional pressure. But with both junglers starting at the blue buff, what they're looking for is a quick trip through the jungle and then saving that red buff for last so that they can not only get that level 3, but have that aggressive buff to get some early ganks off. So it'll be nice to see where they decide to put their early pressure. You can see Ninjaken's Nocturne is actually taking a trip full clear through the jungle, takes down wolves, now doing raids, and it's going to hit level 4 through his first trip through that jungle. Heaven Time's just going buff to buff and actually did wind up taking out a Wraith camp on his way through to the red. But as a pause comes in here for a little bit, we'll have a chance to talk about a few more things other than just the jungle.
For example, in the bot lane, you can see that MIA and Trooper, they took a lot of early harass. You know, Mystic shots did kind of peg him in the face. But what they're doing now is because they don't really have good poke. Trooper can toss out an explosive shot, can toss out relatively long-range auto attacks. So they're looking for a setup like the Death Sense right there. They want to get a good hook onto Ezreal, preferably Sona actually, because she's very burstable. They just chunk them down low, possibly set up a kill or just zone them out of experience afterwards. The issue is, if they can't land a Death Sentence, then they're just going to take a lot of Mystic shots in response, and to try and pad that difference of harass, they're pushing aggressively, really using Tristan's explosive shot to move forward, and that lets them get more minions to the enemy turret, which means that LOD can't really harass because he has to focus on that CS.
Bottom lane, MIA and Trooper. It's a lane that's been back and forth for CompLexity. There's actually a play into Death Sentence. LOD getting locked up. There's actually a healing direction there as Trooper puts down some damage, takes a little back in return. MIA kind of low, but we'll have a health potion there, and starting with that Relic Shield into Targon's Brace, will give him a little bit of extra sustain for Trooper while he uses those health potions to get himself back in the game.
Now, it is actually difficult for MIA to reliably give gold from that Targon's or the Relic Shield because he's not melee, so he doesn't have that melee execute. But Thresh does get the extra damage from his Flay, so you can charge that up and use that to try and secure last hits, make sure that passive isn't wasted. And because it does have that minute cooldown, it's not like he has to constantly get last hits. It's something that is relatively safe and still gives him good income. And it's a pretty neat pickup. You normally don't see a whole lot of Targons, especially on ranged champions, but he's just looking for that tankiness, looking for that gold chair.
You can see that Lolpro are actually zoning out that bottom lane of CompLexity. They're playing very aggressively, do have the minion wave pushing forward, so it's going to be nice to see Ninjaken in the area. We'll have to see if CompLexity can make use of that. Ninjaken, one of the great things about his Nocturne is that if you can get off an early gank, if you get that early red buff and maybe head up to the top lane and they're overextended, you can get a kill, but he loves just power farming to 6, and that's what he did on his first trip through the jungle. Spent a lot of time in there, almost level 5 already. So we'll have to see if he can put that early experience advantage over Heaven Time to use, as both junglers head back to base before the first ganks of the game.
And it's something you've seen a lot more of with the 3.14 changes. Jungle's a lot harder now, so people are taking a lot more damage. Ninja Ken did have enough HP to show up in the bot lane, and since there wasn't an Ignite, he probably wouldn't die going for a gank, but he could have. He was very low, below half HP, and anything was risky. Top lane, Hanser and MegaZero going for a bit of a trade. Olaf has that early game damage zone. MegaZero, only with the Doran's Blade, hasn't really scaled to that point where he can effectively trade. You can actually kind of tell there's a slight gold lead in favor right now of CompLexity, but bot lane was very briefly going in quite a bit of favor for Lolpro, and top lane has a slight advantage for Hanser.
You know, bottom lane's a little bit back and forth. We actually haven't talked about that top lane matchup, Riven versus Olaf. It's something that Riven, one of the standard snowballing champions. If you can get Riven ahead, she just gets more ahead. But for Olaf, his purpose is a little bit more more kind of varied. While he does have that perma-slow and sets up very, very well for ganks, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how he works into the later phase of the game, because going up against a hyper carry like Tristana, you're going to have somebody to dive that back line.
Yeah, if Riven can just kind of even get zone out the enemy team by being a distraction, that can be effective to make sure Trooper can get those auto attacks off. Well, Hanser can reach the back line, but the problem is, can he reach the back line and get a kill before the ultimate wears off? Because Trooper will have rocket jump, he'll have flash. If he gets a good buster shot before Hanser pops the ultimate, it does happen. Guess what? Hanser gets launched back, and Trooper keeps safely auto attacking top lane, though.
Getting ignited. All it's going to take is another undertow lands. Last stick of ignite. Is it enough? Not needed. Hanser diving deep underneath the turret. Well, not all that deep. Picks up a kill there. Backs on off, and that's first blood for Lolpro.
Actually, Hanser might be in a bit of danger. He does have his ultimate, but doesn't really have a whole lot of mana to do anything with that. Ninja Ken is in the area. Hanser out of mana completely.
Well, there's the fear tether to go down. Will it be enough? No red buff for the slow, but he is going to make it back to his turret safe and sound. Did have to throw down Ragnarok, Ghost, and of course the Ignite from earlier, both still down, but still stays alive, makes it back to base in time. Triple Doran's Blades from MegaZero. That's a little bit of a new one on me.
It's a new one, but he needs to do it to stay alive. The problem is, you died to an Olaf. He will keep going at you. He will keep going aggressive, offensive. And especially with that Chain Vest being picked up, as well as the Doran Shield Crystalline Blast combo. He's got a lot of sustain. He's got a lot of armor. And because MegaZero can afford a whole lot without having farmed that much, and with that death, he needs something now. This is a bit of a desperation move. If MegaZero dies again or doesn't really come back to the lane, he's going to be very, very weak for a very long time with so much gold invested in the early game.
Jinte's got a blue buff. Gamer is going to have one in just a second, and both mid laners going for the same builds. Should just see a ton of wave clear and an equally large amount of CS coming their way. Now Hanser going to get jumped on by MegaZero. Triple Dorans is, people look at it and like, ew, triple Dorans, but it's actually really strong early on. It gives you a lot of health, and it's been changed, maybe nerfed a little bit here in Season 4, but it's still Doran's items, still very effective. But you can see Hanser walks back to top lane with got a cloth armor, got a chain vest, and that Doran's shield. He is not going to be taking a lot of damage from Mega.
Now, you mentioned earlier, Ninja Ken, he's the power farmer. He's the guy that will stay in the jungle for a long, long time. Heaventime having some issues now. He's not level 6 yet. He's already low on HP. He actually has been out-jungled in terms of CSing. That's something that Jarvan has trouble with. He's not the best jungler anymore. He doesn't have the best clear, the safest sustain. And Ninja Ken, as a result, now has 2 levels on him. Now, that's a lot of experience. That's a lot of usability. Ninja Ken's already got the Nocturne ultimate. If you can use that for a gank right now, Heaventime, he's not going to have good spots.
Setting up in the mid lane, wants to go in, is just baiting gamers back in there. He is relatively far forward, but not far enough, and so that's going to be not necessarily a missed opportunity, but a little bit of pressure off of that mid lane. Ninja Ken spotted out, walks back into his top jungle, continues that farm on, will continue to solidify that experience advantage. Hanser actually pressed back to his turret, so MegaZero really using that power of the early triple Dorans to good effect, but keep in mind he's still down a little bit of CS as well as that first kill of the game.
Yeah, Hanser, he's getting pressured. He knows that with MegaZero's purchases, he's going to have to play a lot more safely. That does give some time for MegaZero to farm, even out the CS matchup that was actually in favor of Hanser earlier on. MegaZero is in trouble top lane, though.
Yeah, gets knocked up there, gets dunked on. There's Mega dropping the knock-up onto Heaventime. Ninja Ken is right there in the area. Doesn't necessarily want to ult over the wall, does it, but just maybe a little bit too late. I'm not sure why he didn't do that immediately, but we did trade 1-for-1 in kills. Still a little bit on the run as Hanser will chase him away, but still, kills traded away, but doesn't really help MegaZero. Now 0-2 does have that 1 assist.
Unfortunately, no kill from MegaZero, just the assist. And Haunter picking up another kill. He can go ahead purchase after he clears a minion wave or whenever he feels like it. And it's going to be such a hard lane. MIA, though, in the bot lane, in a bit of danger.
Huge crescendo sets up for a perfect true shot barrage. Jupiter jumping in, takes a turret shot, and it's LOD with a double kill. And that's apparently what the D stands for there, as it does just give it to the bottom lane of CompLexity now with a kill in both of their death in both of their death columns, which is normally where you'd expect it. They head back to base the hard way, and it's a nice chunk of gold and possibly even a dragon coming up here for Lolpro.
You gotta respect the heal. LOH able to barely keep LOD alive throughout the entire engagement. Trooper thought he had enough with that rocket to the last second. MegaZero might be in some trouble top lane as the Undertow just completely whips, so he'll be okay, but the dragon does go towards Lolpro. And, MI, he thought he got the good death sense. He was trying to make a big play happen. Just got in turret range, though, got stunned by the crescendo. And with LOD playing Ezreal, a very high early game champion in terms of damage and output, it's such a risky thing to do, and they got punished. They got punished hard.
And there we go. Just like that, 4 kills, the early dragon. No turrets taken down just yet, so for now, the laning phase will continue. About 60 more seconds there for Paranoia to come up from Ninja Ken before he's, a real threat there from the jungle, but something that's always going to be a threat. Heaven Time looking to put some pressure there. Maybe on mid, just drops a ward back into his own jungle, and with Gamer going back to base, you can see he's dropping out a little bit in CS, but nothing too significant. What is significant is going to be that bottom lane, as LOD up about 20 CS, has 2 kills, has a Bloodthirster first, and does get death sentence. There's the flay backwards, a lot of damage, but a true shot barrage. Arcane shift back to just keep himself alive, and with the sustain from Lopale down there, this is going to be a positive trade once again for Lolpro.
Now, the thing is, Lolpro, like you said, he can sustain quite quickly. LOD does have a lot with that Bloodthirster. However, Jinte in the area, if we do make a big play happen now before LOD has a chance to heal up, it could be huge for them, though. Heaven Time is in the area.
Ooh, jump away, rocket jump. Somewhat premature, but you got to take it when you can, and Jupiter's still alive, so you got to cut that as worth. And a nice roam there from Jinte, actually. Was going to come around behind, but Heaven Time was there and didn't quite want to fight the 3v1 before Chuper and MIA could get in there. A little bit of aggression, some trading out there by MegaZero and Haunter. Looks like Mega's starting to win out on these trades just a little bit, but Haunter, look at all that armor. He's got a Glacial Shroud for cooldown reduction before even completing what looks to be either it's going to be a Warden's Mail probably into a Frozen Heart Rush. Haven't seen that one yet on Olaf.
Usually you want a little bit of HP, however he knows he's going up against a lot of physical damage. Everything is physical for the most part except for Jinte in the mid lane. And Olaf, you want to kind of sit in your lane until you feel confident to survive multiple sources of damage. MegaZero can try to trade effectively, but Haunter, when he sees a chance when Mega Hero's shield is down, that's his chance to move forward, really punish, really deal that DPS.
MegaZero is playing kind of scared. You can see him going aggressive, wanting to punish Haunter under his turret, but backing off and not really knowing exactly where Heaven Time is right now. Now, with Ziggs leaving lane, that's a good indication, hey, he's going to be in the bottom half of the jungle on the blue buff, but while he's going back to base right now, that's not something that CompLexity know exactly yet. Haunter still trading up there with MegaZero, but while he may drop down in health, he's going to be able to sustain that back with the effective health from his shield as well as that Vamp Scepter, giving it a little bit more sustain in lane. Warden up that Tri-Brush. He's going to stay safe for now.
Now, bot lane, it looks like it's way in favor of LOD. He does have a gold advantage. However, despite that, there's a lot of CS MIA is actually given to Trooper with that Relic Shield. Now it targets Brace. Ninja Ken was in the area, possibly could have gone bot lane for a gank, but the problem is going up against both a Sona and Ezreal. Sona with a Crescendo, if it lands on MIA or Trooper, that's a lot of missed damage for that initial gank. And because they're by the turret, LOD can always just Arcane Shift to save the extra initiation from MIA.
Huge crescendo, 2-man right there. MIA is going to flash out. Trooper, not quite so lucky. There's a death sentence to pull it back in. Probably not the direction he wants to go, but even still, it was a shield. There's going to be Ninja Ken coming in. Paranoia, LOH, will you go down? The answer is yes. Laud looking for a kill, flashes in there, finds Trooper, good suicide for MIA, but is still trying to make it out alive. Ninja Ken will land the Duskbringer. There's Gamers just for a little bit of extra slow. Bounces Ninja Ken forward, the fear goes off. There's a lantern, but it's not going to be able to pull LOD to safety. He goes down, and that is a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of CompLexity.
A great punish by CompLexity. They were able to bait out Lolpro long into the lanes, give Ninja Ken a chance to really expose the fact that, well, Sona, she's a good champion, but she doesn't have good escape mechanism, especially with a flash already on cooldown used for the aggressive chase. You got to give credit to LOD, tried to make a lot happen in the end there, was able to pick up 2 for at least make it a 1 for 2 rather than a 0 for 2. But, you know, NinjaKen getting farmed, Nocturne is someone who, he won't necessarily run out of control in the game. He's relatively controllable because you don't really build a lot of DPS, but he can still apply that CC, he can be huge in team fights, and if CompLexity is behind by 1300, he can make up for that difference just by good initiation and good CC.
So for right now, it's going to be a good bottom lane. You can see even a Tear of the Goddess on Ezreal. So will we see that same blue build Ezreal that's kind of been emerging over the course of these NACL playoffs? Or is it just going to be that Trinity Force coming after a Tear? There's a long sword there. Could signal either one of those builds. So have to keep an eye on that, as Chuper is just looking to survive. He knows 0-2, you're never going to win that lane, now down to about 40 CS, but we've seen a lot of games go later in Season 4, especially in this 3.15 patch. It seems to get to that late game, and having that Tristana on your side, it's always going to be something that, hey, game gets late enough, it's always going to be effective.
Yeah, blue build Ezreal, it's nice, it's usable, it's something that kind of fell off in popularity when Triforce was incredibly powerful. The nice thing about it now is that if there's someone scary on the enemy team, like let's say a Nocturne, that Frozen Fist is amazing for kiting. If not, you can always just build a Muramana. You don't have to necessarily build it into a full blue build, just use it for the aggressive poke factor that the extra mana gives you in a tier.
And speaking of Nocturne, with NinjaKen having all 3 of CompLexity's kills, you can actually see him going for a carry Nocturne build. And if there's somebody who knows how to carry on Nocturne, it's definitely NinjaKen. The Phage into what should be a Trinity Force coming up next is, you know, an item you don't see on a lot of junglers, especially since you do need that tank initiate from the jungle. Having a little bit of tankiness already sets him up perfectly for a lot of damage to come out.
Yeah, even though there's gold in favor of Lolpro, it's very slight, only 1,000 initiation in the bot lane.
Yeah, there's going to be Paranoia going in. A nice crescendo, but it only catches out on the MIA Chuper. Also sent out there for just a little bit, but still disengaged. Looks like it's coming up there. MIA still very low. NinjaKen looking in front for the back line of CompLexity. There's going to be a flag and drag. Force the flash out of NinjaKen. No engage there. Pretty scary game there from Heaven Time, but even still, going to be Jinte now walking down bottom. Jinte is going to get caught here. He's pushed into the Dragon Pit. Does he have what it takes to get away? There's going to be the lantern he was looking for. I was like, he's just going to flash it, and then I realized, hey, you know, there's a Thresh. You're never alone. Dark passageway over the wall will be the light at the end of its tunnel there for Jinte.
Actually, Dragon being attempted by Lolpro now, but can they do this? CompLexity is converging.
Looks like Heaven Time going in, and you know, I like Gamer's position here. He's kind of in the back. He has a lot of escape options, including that satchel charge. He's just going to be able to dish out a lot of harassment. There's Heaven Time dropping low, gets played backwards, and it's Chuper with a kill. Now LOD knows he can arcane shift over the wall. MIA dropping down dangerously low is going to get killed there by Lolpro. LOD actually were the one who's taken down there. It's LOD, LOL. There's a lot of LOs down there, as well as Lopali, which is what LOH stands for if you guys are just now joining. But even still, it's a kill traded 1-for-1. No dragon just yet. Just more kills starting to come out here. You know, it's not the highest kill game, but it's nice to see both teams with some back and forth action splitting very evenly around that objective.
I mean, there is aggression, there is pushing, there is movement. That bottom fight, for example, it started with Chuper using the rocket jump to use Buster Shot on Lol and Lopali and put him into a bad position. And as it happened, both teams converged. There was a great initiation from NinjaKen on a Lolpali. However, at the same time, Heaven Time landed the flag and drag combo and actually used Cataclysm to make sure that once Lolpali flashed out, there was no real chase potential from NinjaKen unless he blew his own flash. Side note, if you've ever seen the Rage Cage from Jarvan used at the same time as the box from Thresh, you can't really see the box that well, and a lot of members of Lolpro kind of walked into it. Now Dragon is being attempted though, going to be chunked down very quickly, just being burned through, and there it goes. That gold going straight towards Lolpro, giving them a little bit more advantage. It's still a very even game though, and it's all about NinjaKen right now and whether or not he can make plays. Top lane, Mega Zero, I mean, he's evolved from normal lane Riven to abusive right lane Riven, and is going to now try and cut the creep wave, kill it before it reaches the turret, and it will actually make the lane a bit more passive unless Heaven Time comes for a gank.
Lane push there into Jinte's turret frees up Gamers to be a little bit more aggressive, but still has to watch out for NinjaKen. His Paranoia is off of cooldown, and with a red buff, that is a scary jungle Nocturne. He's getting even closer to his Trinity Force, and speaking of some big itemization like that, Mega Zero's got a Bloodthirst up there. Command Shockwave right on it, Gamers. That is somewhat unfair. I feel like for a Ziggs who's just playing around with water balloons, you don't really expect Ribbon to come out the jungle, able to get in there. Didn't even have to burn Flash to get that kill. Closed the distance, so did NinjaKen, but now 1v1 Mega Zero versus Haunter. Look at that damage to come out. Wind Slash already down. There's an undertow. Haunter going to take the long route back to his turret. Will we see Mega Zero able to catch him out? There's NinjaKen there for the interception. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Haunter is going to try to get out there. Passes right through the Duskbringer, but is going to get feared out with no Ragnarok to stop him from getting CC'd. NinjaKen takes him down.
Surprising to see NinjaKen get the kill rather than give him to Mega Zero, but in the end, Haunter, well, he was caught out in a bad position. Thought he could 1v1 the Ribbon. However, Ribbon has damage, which is almost defensive for her, and that death barely misses Lolpro.
You know, I feel like I've seen that same death sentence hit at that same angle. Sometimes it just
it like swings around.
It's heat-seeking. It just latches onto people, but apparently Lolpro's Sona is not quite hot enough to make it seek on out there. Mega Zero is starting to dish some turret damage down, and I like the decision to give the kill over to NinjaKen. Just to, you know, he's snowballing super hard, giving him more kills, sets him up for that very early Trinity Force, and a ton of damage to come along with it. A lot of damage down onto the mid turret as well as the top turret. So CompLexity, they've taken the first turret of the game. They haven't taken any other global objectives, so these turrets are really going to be what's going to get them back up there in that gold count.
And they get the lead. There we go, evened out. Now 2-0 for Lolpro. CompLexity, they had a weak early game. Heaven Time actually in a lot of danger now.
Yeah, Heaven Time's kind of dead. Mega finds him in the jungle, just going hunting, takes him down. And now it's actually fighting a 2v1. It looks like he's going to have to take the Dark Passageway over the wall, takes it out. MIA there once again, saving it out there. And MIA's love, MIA's life, and will keep the rest of his team alive. Now up in gold, up in kills, up 2 turrets. The only thing they're down in is Dragons, which Curse has had, you know, a pretty good job controlling him. Did LOD just miss that Mystic shot?
He was barely out of range. MIA was a little bit safer in going home. Did not get that interrupted. This mid turret in a bit of danger though at about half HP. Game was really good. Actually, flush crescendo.
There's to be a crescendo. Mega Inferno Bomb. Doesn't get much easier than that. And that was all set up by Jintei missing those last 3 caster minions that tanked up the turret and allowed that. Ooh, the Flash Flay box. Death Sentence finally will connect. Doesn't break the walls of the box. There's actually be Paranoia coming in there as well. Lolpro is getting dropped low. Will get taken down even after the Summoner Hill. The reset's coming out from Chuper there in the very back. Flay to catch on to Gamers. Tries to bounce himself out there. It's taken down by some anti-aircraft fire. It's a 1-for-2. Favor of CompLexity.
Right, NinjaKen, he's got a Triforce finish now. This means if he uses the Paranoia, he gets in there, his burst is phenomenal. He'll just take you down right quick. And with that, NinjaKen just looking powerful. If you can just keep using that ultimate on cooldown to pick up kills, they will just keep snowballing CompLexity out of control. Now 9-7, 2-kill advantage, but now 1,500 gold in their coffers. Haunter up top lane, he got those early kills, but it hasn't really paid off. He just can't beat Mega Zero in a 1v1. He's got a lot of mitigation, a lot of defensive stats, but not a lot of raw HP, and his offense just not that strong right now. Mega Zero able to very effectively trade. Haunter, well, he got the kills. Not a whole lot came from it, though.
Well, Haunter's relying on Vicious Strikes to sustain in lane. Mega Zero's got a fully stacked Bloodthirster, and even though he did have to go those triple Doran's blades to sustain in lane, he's up in CS, he's picked up a couple of kills of his own, and has really come back from that early 0-2 start, as no longer Mega Zero kills, as he has come back solidly up there in that top lane. Mid lane is actually going really well for CompLexity too, as they have about a 20 CS advantage there. Every item that you'd expect to see on a mid-game Orianna is there. For Lolpro, they have a huge bottom lane, but it literally doesn't get easier to dive the bottom lane than having a Nocturne. You click on Ezreal, there's no amount of arcane shifting that's going to get you out of that one, and especially with a damage build so early on from NinjaKen, that's going to be really rough for LOD to deal with.
Yeah, NinjaKen is at a point where he doesn't necessarily need to get the fear because his raw damage output is insane. Triforce is a great item on Nocturne just because that initial Umbra Blades passive proc on his auto attack will just tear through people very, very quickly. Now, blue buff being contested by CompLexity, they know that Lolpro wants it. It's huge on Ziggs. Gamers denied it. That's actually a lot of poke, a lot of sustained damage being denied from him. This is not a lot of response from Lolpro. They know they can't fight right now.
Now with CompLexity, once again around that dragon. This could be the first dragon of the game there for CompLexity. They're going to push out the waves first, really do a good job at setting up for it. Up in about 30 seconds, the push continues. Lolpro will counter that mid lane as Mega's just going to take himself away some rays. NinjaKen, bottom lane there with Chuper. forms a little bit of an interesting duo as MIA is kind of forsaken that bottom lane for Jinte, forming some stronger bonds up there as CompLexity not really too concerned with that dragon just yet. They've already pushed out both of the lanes, gives them a long way to go, but now it's Heaven time. Doesn't want to give away that 2-0 dragon lead to CompLexity just yet.
Yeah, 5 members strong from both sides. I mean, Lolpro, they have some decent team fight. You know, Ziggs has a lot of AoE damage. Hanser can reach the backline. Question is, do they have the items? Will Ninja Can just blow up LOD and Gamers in the backline? If they can't protect Gamer, if Ziggs can't get that sustained damage out because there's a big Nocturne just turning him to pieces, well, all the gold he has doesn't really matter.
A couple of things really do matter. No, Ninja Ken going in is going to drop Paranoid very early on. Heaven Time's going to lock up pretty much only Ninja Ken as there's a huge Mega Inferno Bomb. Mega Zero very low as well, but Super on a killing spree jumps back in on a Gamer's crits to come down, but it's not enough. Gamer will get away, but it's a 3-for-0 devastating team fight there. Looks like it actually could continue slow. There from the command dissonance from Jinte won't be enough, but a turret to fall there as CompLexity looking for their 4th turret of the game.
They're going to pick it up. MIA will survive that last turret shot, taken down very, very low, and that dragon going to be going towards CompLexity. With that last fight, I mean, CompLexity just jumped on them. The ball, the command shockwave, I believe it wasn't even used. It's still available on Jinte. But Ninja Ken with his high burst damage and the high follow-up damage from both MIA and Chuper's auto attacks, as well as Mega Zero once he got into the fray, you get those broken wings hipping and hopping all over the place. It's so much AoE damage, and it's so bursty that it's hard to respond to. I mean, Heaven Time tried to contain this by going for a Cataclysm and offensive burst where we just kept the enemy team contained in the Cataclysm, but it did not work. They focused him down, and by the time he died, at that point LOD was gone, at that point LOH was gone.
Now, I was expecting a Mikhail's Crucible just to help keep LOD alive against that huge dive there from Ninja Ken, but actually turned it into the more selfish item in that Athene's Unholy Grail for Lopali down there on that Sona. And, I mean, that's the perfect item to buy on a Sona, but when you're 0, 3, and 5, that really limits the effectiveness of the other items that you really do need as a support. One of those being that Mikhail's Crucible, and with LOD really getting beset from all sides by, you know, there's the stun and just straight up damage from Mega Zero, as well as the fear from Ninja Ken, as well as some subsequent slows, you need that cleanse, the heal, just to keep him alive. And as kind of the backbone of the team at this point, 5, 2, and 0. There's Crescendo coming out onto MIA. The knockup command shockwave lands onto the back line. Gamer's going to throw in a huge Mega Inferno Bomb, but damage to come out. Jinte's forced away, so is Super. The back line's so low for CompLexity, they just can't continue this fight. And with LOD pushing in there, there's Mega Zero continuing the back door. He's looking for the first base turret of the game, but it's kind of a base race CompLexity are not too willing to fight.
If they can actually delay, if Mega Zero can spend some time alone with that top turret, they could have picked it up relatively quickly, as Ninja Ken could have tried to bait out the enemy team, keep Lolpro in the area. However, MIA survives, the mid turret goes down. It's a small gain in favor of Lolpro. Now Mega Zero in a bit of danger. Should be able to escape this though, as he does dodge the satchel charge from Gamers.
Continuing on, it's Mega Zero against the world as almost every single member of Lolpro trying to take him out. He runs right into LOD, turns around to fight it. Probably shouldn't, but the wind slash just barely misses. Heaven Time will make it out alive with just a sliver of HP. And, you know, it was a valiant effort. Almost took a kill with him, but in the end, Mega Zero puts a lot of pressure top lane, relieves that pressure from the mid lane, and winds up going down even still.
Yeah, Heaven Time not going to heaven quite yet. It's not his time. But now that that top turret surviving with that Mega Zero split push denied for a second, Lolpro, they're showing that they do have enough damage. I mean, Gamer XZ has so much burst with that Rabadon's Death Cap, with that Athene's Unholy Grail. Really all you need to do to be, I'd say, the more common Ziggs, like you're going to wreck someone and have a second build, would be a Void Staff. If he finishes that up, he will be pretty brutal. However, you need to reliably land the damage, and his burst isn't enough to instantly blow up MIA quite yet, or the backline. And with that, the rest of Lolpro has to somehow reach that back line. So they really need to land some bouncing bombs. They need to make sure that LOD can get some personal time, getting some auto attacks and Mystic Shots in. Because their burst, while it's almost there, it's not quite. And CompLexity, their burst, they've shown that they can just kind of annihilate the back line in about 2 or so seconds if Mega Zero can flash towards it.
Yeah, there's the completed Yomu's Ghost Blade on Mega Zero, and you know, if he had to teleport too, he'd have twice the Yomu's power, but it's just that item. I've seen actually a lot of Ribbons and even other Brutalizer buying champions, like even Zeds are starting to pick up that Youmuu's. I think that's Dade's Z build. If you complete the Youmuu's Ghost Blade, just gives you some crazy steroids right when you need them in the middle of the fight. And it's going to be even more deadly for LOD. I feel like you've got Tristana, who, if you play it Juna style, can jump on in. You got the ball from Jinte, can dive the back line by itself and create some command shockwave pressure. And there's Ninja Ken, Mega Zero. It's all designed at making LOD's life probably not something he wants to live or is going to be able to live very long in these upcoming team fights. And with a Void Staff almost complete for Jinte, a couple of big items to come out from that bottom lane as you're just waiting for either maybe a Bloodthirst or maybe that's Static Shiv to complete for Chuper. There's going to be a big power spike here from CompLexity right as turrets are starting to fall. Baron's starting to become a big thing on everyone's mind.
Yeah, with the Youmuu's Ghost Blade, I like it a lot because it really helps the fact that Ninja Ken, with his paranoia, that vision blocking means that Mega Zero will get the surprise on people. So it's very easy for him to flash to the back line, get the stun off, and then with Youmuu's activated, his passive, which will make his auto attacks hit for about 500 or so damage at this point, is just being used to the fullest extent. If you can really maximize the Riven passive, you can usually wipe 3 or so people just off yourself. And your incredibly high burst. And Mega Zero, he's got that damage, he's got that micro, he's got that Youmuu's. He can reach the back, kill people so quickly. I feel like, if MIA or Trooper aren't there for a fight, if it's a 4v5, Mega Zero's okay with that because he can just make up for that difference.
But Mega Zero was forced to sell one of those 3 Doran's blades, and I really feel like that could have been a little bit of a rough decision. I mean, YOLO's Ghost Blade's a little bit fun to play around with, but it's going to be very important to see if Mega Zero can complete that pressure that's keeping Haunter top lane. Ninja Ken, he's pushing down that bottom turret. I don't think he really cares too much about LOD down there. Can dive him if he needs to be. It's a 1-3-1 split push for CompLexity. They play this so often, but Mega Zero actually getting ignited. Slowed down there by the Undertow. This is the moment Haunter's been waiting for. Gets the 1v1. Can he finally chase it down? True Shot Barrage as well is going to help towards the kill. Mega Zero finally getting away there. Is it going to be the Mega Inferno Bomb? Catches on the Mega Zero. Can't quite get the damage. The stun to come off there. Haunter easy as it comes. Undertow.
He's not dead.
But he can't kill Mega Zero. There's the final kill from an Undertow. But now it's Chuper. The Tristana ganks, you don't really see him coming. Haunter in against the world. 1v3, not going to have a good time. Trades 1 for 1.
So initially, Mega Zero kind of goofed up a bit. He was pushing the turret, used his broken wings to escape, and then immediately after Haunter chased him down, he knew the cooldowns were down for Mega Zero. However, the jukes, the times, the dodges, there was nothing that was catching him for that amount of time. And even though Mega Zero goes down, he got so far away that Haunter was also taken down in trade, making it a 1 for 1. And alright, Mega Zero loses Bloodthirster stacks, but it was a lot of time wasted. There were a lot of spells used. The Mega Inferno Bomb, the True Shot Barrage. And in the end, well, he dies, but he wastes a lot of time on Haunter. It makes it an even trade, and the gold, not really going to either side.
Alright, so for right now, things are going to kind of reset. The pushes stopped by gamers in the bottom lane. You can see the top lane actually really pushing in favor of Lolpro. Blue build Ezreal for LOD. I like that build choice here. It doesn't work if there's some sort of AP assassin in the mid lane because you're stacking up a ton of armor, but against that dive composition from either Mega Zero or Ninja Ken, both very strong threats against LOD. It's going to help him survive just a little bit longer, help him get more arcane shifts to put more distance between him and the divers, as well as, give him a little bit of extra defensive stats, and of course the sustain from the Bloodthirster too. So we'll have to see if that is what the doctor ordered. So far we've just seen minor skirmishes, haven't really seen that big 5-on-5 team fight because the 1-3-1 that CompLexity are running are really relying on their individual strengths in Mega Zero and Ninja Ken.
Now, that blue build Ezreal really benefits Ziggs in particular, because this means that they can now play a really good kite-oriented game, or if a Mystic Shot lands with that Frozen Fist buff, that means a Hextech Minefield follow-up afterwards is likely to deal a lot more DPS than it would have in the past. It is a pretty cool style of composition from Lolpro, where if they play defensive, you're chasing down a Ziggs into a Frozen Fist Ezreal into Olaf's Undertow and Axes. There's a lot of containment as well from Heaven Time, playing Jarvan, and there's lots of ways to really just capture people and kind of slowly, or with Ziggs quickly, burst them and kite them down. However, with the way Lolpro is playing, they're abusing vision quite a bit. They're getting the drop onto, or CompLexity's getting the drop onto Lolpro quite a bit, and now Baron being done by Lolpro. It's a 5v4, Inhibitor being pressured as well.
Now with Baron dropping down, you can see thanks to the much larger health bar, Command Shockwave catches onto gamers, there's the damage. Death Sentence will land right onto Ziggs. He's going to turn the red damage right around. He's going to take it out at long range. by Mechazero's ultimate is going to be running away. There's Lopali and LOD chasing down there. Trooper against the World Death Sentence again on the Heaven Time. Haunter now 1v3. He's going to go down as CompLexity continuing to clean up the team fight, and they're winning that 4v5. Ninja Ken all the way in the base, takes down an inhibitor on his own. Backdoors that is going to continue to push out of the base now, regrouping with the rest of his team.
If you're going to go ahead and go for a kite comp, the one kite you're trying to keep alive throughout all that cannot be the first guy that gets hit by a death sentence. That initiation from MIA a bit too solid, and without Ziggs dealing his burst down, without him able to run away and do his DPS. Now Trooper going aggressive onto LOD. LOD trying to escape this, but he'll just be chunked down. The Paranoia does finish him off with that Ninja Ken Nocturne missile. Seeking out LOD. LOH does have his ultimate up, but or his heal up would have not done a whole lot though, as the Summoner Spell heal is nice, but there was also an auto attack from Triforce following that up. Megazero now rotating towards the Baron pit. Gonna go ahead and do this Baron. He does put down a pink ward, and there is a ward in the area, but he knows there's so little to stop him right now. And Gamers is up, and that actually is a surrender vote, and that is game.